Lionel Messi has arguably had the greatest career of any footballer ever, winning all there is to win. There is very little, if anything at all, Leo hasn't achieved. And although he may also be the most gifted player we've ever seen, there's no denying that he couldn't have achieved all that he's achieved had it also not been for an elite supporting cast. So yeah, no lie, this has been as tough as you'd imagine, if not tougher due to the method of judgment I'll use, which is the following. So, the primary factor I'll judge these players on will be their abilities across their careers and not how good they were specifically when alongside Messi. Having said that though, if the abilities of two strong choices are close enough, then yeah, things such as their achievements alongside Messi will be used as a tiebreaker. Same old, same old. Oh, and spoilers by the way, I will be releasing the same video but using the other side of the coin tomorrow and the criteria will not change. Please remember that because I am re-recording this intro again just to change a few words. Again, I don't get paid enough. But anyways, let's turn our attention to a group of guys who I imagine do get paid enough, if not way too f***ing much, as here is Lionel Messi's greatest teammates 11. Let's roll off. Yep, that's another spoiler. Sorry bro. Formation 4-3-3. Goalkeeper. Honorable mentions: Gianluigi Donnarumma, Marc-Andre ter Stegen, Roberto Abondanzieri, Keylor Navas, and the twat who won the World Cup. Final pick, Victor Valdez. And it turns out I need to use the tiebreaker in the very first entry. In fact, purely as keepers, I'd honestly take Navas over Victor Valdez. But yes, this was close enough for the element of chemistry with Messi to factor. And when you do factor that in, it is no longer even remotely close. Spending a decade alongside Leo at Barca, Victor Valdez was an intelligent and technically gifted ball-playing keeper who in some ways can be thought of as being ahead of his time. Cause while in all fairness there have been keepers of his profile from generations back in his neck of woods, following the emergence of what we think of as the Guardiola model across Europe in recent years, keepers like Valdez are certainly a lot more common nowadays than they were during his time. Though understandably, only a handful are actually as good as him. Right back. Honorable mentions: Giuliano Belletti, Dani Alves, Ashraf Hakimi, and Pablo Zabaleta. Final pick, Javier Zanetti. Though this might be a position with one of the fewest amount of standout options, let me assure you the final choice still wasn't easy. After all, Dani Alves is what? The most successful footballer in history or some mad shit like that? But still, if you're old enough to have seen him play, you'll be well aware that in terms of quality, Leo's former Argentina teammate Javier Zanetti was different quality. Spending the majority of his career at Inter Milan, Javier Zanetti only really tasted prolonged collective success once he was in his 30s. Unlike most players in his era though, this man was far from done even deep into his 30s, captaining treble winners at almost 37 and playing at the highest level until almost 41. And although he was decently quick, positionally brilliant and excellent on the ball, Zanetti's standout trait was undoubtedly his fitness, which, along with his aforementioned longevity, he greatly attributes to his unwavering and, quite frankly, fucking bonkers discipline. Right centre back. Honourable mentions: Roberto Ayala, Rafa Marquez, Marquinhos, and Gerard Piqué. Final pick, Sergio Ramos. Now, for those thinking Ramos and Piqué's abilities are close enough and therefore it should have gone to tiebreaker and therefore Piqué should have been selected, well sorry but you got this all wrong. And for those thinking Piqué was actually better than Ramos, well sorry but you got serious issues. Going from a promising fullback to a promising centre-back to a, yes, still promising but also overly tenacious, tactically truant and terribly temperamental hothead with torrid timing on tackles touted as a tad overrated to now one of the greatest defenders of all time. Some journey there. And at his best, Sergio Ramos combined the ball-playing and goal-scoring qualities of a Spanish defender with the aggressive and energetic qualities of a British one, winning everything under the sun with Real Madrid, more on that tomorrow, as well as the great Spanish sides of the late 2000s and early 2010s. And believe it or not, even by the time Mr. LastMinute.com arrived in France and met up with Messi, he still had a fair bit left, and for whatever reason, PSG almost always looked more stable, confident and complete when El Capitano was on the pitch. Left centre back. Honourable mentions: Lisandro Martinez, Nicolas Otamendi, Samuel Umtiti and Walter Samuel. Final pick, Carles Puyol, another rugged and aggressive but cultured Spanish centre-back from that era. But you see, the main difference between Puyol and Sergio Ramos was that 1. Puyol didn't score as many goals as his younger and much better looking compatriot. No, did he? And 2, Puyol was a lot more in control up here. Because despite throwing himself, funnily enough, headfirst into anything and everything and any and every predicament on a football pitch, Carles Puyol actually very seldom lost his temper during a game, even when provoked. A very good ball player, an incredible reader of the game, a phenomenal defender, and yet somehow an even better captain. Left back. Honourable mentions Giovanni van Bronckhorst, Gabriel Heinze, Marcus Acuna, Juan Pablo Sorin, and Eric Abidal. Final pick, Jordi Alba. I could have changed the formation to include more attackers. As you'll see tomorrow, I'm not adverse to doing that. But let's be real, you can't leave Alba out of a Messi team. I mean, did you not see how he played at PSG? Bro. No, but seriously though, the man without whom at least 50% of Messi's playmaking would be as good as non-existent actually was a prodigy even before he started alongside Messi. His quickness, intricate link-up play, stamina as well as raw aggression led him to be labelled as the future Spanish left-back even while he was at Valencia. He then got the opportunity to start for Spain just prior to Euro 2012 before then playing and scoring in the final at Euro 2012, which then, as expected, led to the Barca move. And the rest, my friends, is switched to the far side overlap history. Defensive midfield. Honourable mentions Javier Mascherano, Mark van Bommel, Lucas Biglia, Sergio Roberto, and Yaya Toure. Final pick, Sergio Busquets. With all due respect to the nominees, this was one of the easier decisions. A player whom I personally have very little time for. You'd have to be blind to not notice just how pivotal of a pivot Sergio Busquets was for those great Barca sides. Arguably the greatest player ever of that particular mould, Busquets' reading of the game, calmness under pressure, as well as ability to intercept play without really doing much. Well, at least he looks like he isn't doing much. And truthfully, that's just a part of what makes him such a genius. Very rarely in the modern game has a footballer been so effective with such little athletic ability. Always 2 steps ahead upstairs he was. Ugly fuck. Regista midfield. Honourable mentions Juan Sebastian Veron, Ander Herrera, Esteban Cambiaso, Ivan Rakitic, and Messi's bromancer, the Buenos Aires born David Beckham bodyguard bre. Final pick, Xavi Hernandez. Another candidate for being the GOAT of a certain mould, as well as maybe the GOAT Spanish player. Xavi became a first team regular for Barcelona as early as 19 years old, though his peak certainly was somewhere near the midpoint of his 11 years alongside Messi. And while he does at times get outshined by the player who's the next pick of this team, sorry for another spoiler, but come on, what the fuck did you expect? Xavi may actually have had a bigger impact in both the Spanish and Barca sides of the time, and I'm gonna go as far as to say that outside Messi, he might have actually been the most important player in the team, particularly in the 08-09 season. Everything went through this man in almost every game he played, and given the fact that he was basically impossible to get within 4 feet of, I can only imagine how much of a nightmare that would have been to try and press him. Little flash, little risk, little mistake equaled a lot of success. Mezzala midfield. Honourable mentions Thiago Alcantara, Xavi Simons, Philippe Coutinho, Juan Riquelme, Marco Verratti, Pablo Aimar, and Deco. Final pick, Andres Iniesta. Xavi's silkier and versatile other half, Andres Iniesta was an intelligent and world-class dribbler and passer of the ball who very rarely failed to deliver on the big occasion. And unlike Xavi, who was being phased out in the favour of Rakitic in his final year, Iniesta pretty much remained the first choice in his position for Barcelona until his exit from the club in 2018. And while the World Cup winning goal and the man of the match performance at the final of the European Championship may top his list of single greatest moments, there's no doubt that the bulk of those moments came when he was in a Barca shirt and came when he was alongside Messi. Right wing forward. Honourable mentions Ezequiel Lavezzi, Antoine Griezmann, Ludovic Giuli, and the most honourable of all honourable mentions, as well as the honorary 12th man of the team, Angel Di Maria. Final pick, Ronaldinho. No doubt at all, this was the toughest call. And listen, it stinks to leave Di Maria out for numerous reasons, especially considering A, I think it's super underrated as it is, and B, just how flippin' crucial he's been to Leo's career. But listen man, if you have a chance to have Ronaldinho in your team, you damn sure better pick Ronaldinho in your team. The man who assisted Messi's very first goal for Barcelona, Ronaldinho for the span of 2 to 4 years around the time I was getting into football was pretty much the poster boy for the purists. Never a dull moment when he's on the ball. Dino probably more than any other freestyler combined his freestyling with genuine effectivity to a world-class level and on a consistent basis over a short period of time. He's seen it all, he's won it all, he's done it all with style. Left wing forward. Honorable mentions Paulo Dybala, Pedro Rodriguez, Kylian Mbappe, and Neymar Jr. Final pick, Thierry Henry. If you have a chance to have Thierry Henry on your team, you damn sure better pick Thierry Henry on your team. And if I've used this phrase before, it's because it's true both times. Tell me when I'm telling lies. The greatest player in Premier League history, Thierry was one of only a selective few individuals that genuinely made the EPL look beneath him. Like, don't get me wrong, there have been numerous players who've excelled here, but very few who've made it look easy, and probably none who've made it look this easy. And yes, by the time he joined Leo at Barca, he was a little over the hill. And yet folks, he finished his first season at Barca as top scorer and second to top assist provider while being played out of position. He then eventually got used to the position the following season and subsequently became a part of one of the greatest club sides in football history. And nowadays, he spends his time on CBS making jokes about breast while sat on the left of a pair of breasts, on the right of a genuine breast, and adjacent to someone adamant on looking like a breast. TT for a reason, I guess. And finally, centre forward. Honorable mentions Gonzalo Higuain, Carlos Tevez, Julian Alvarez, Sergio Aguero, Lautaro Martinez, Henrik Larsson, David Villa, Samuel Eto'o, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Final pick, Luis Suarez. This dude is Messi's biggest beg, but this dude is probably a close second. But unlike the other dude, this dude actually has a killer legacy himself. Awkward, lumpy, bumpy, hungry. When Luis Suarez arrived at Liverpool, very few were actually ready for him. And this isn't just because no one really knew much about him outside the whole shit he pulled up at the World Cup, but he also had a style of play that we haven't really seen before. He was skillful and uncoordinated at the same time, physical and fragile at the same time, and unusual, yet produced very familiar results almost every time. Weird dude, but effective. Very effective. How very effective? Hell, his weird ass shit almost led to John fucking Flanagan walking around with the PL title, which may still actually happen, who knows. And after further twattish behavior in another World Cup led to his dream move to Barcelona, life is weird at times, he somehow then became super well behaved, forming the now legendary MSN trio with Messi and Neymar, winning the treble in his first season, being the first player after Messi and Ronaldo to pass 60 goals the following season, as well as further contributing to a double figure of trophies in 6 years at the club. He was then kicked out, shifted to Atleti, perceived to be washed up, and ended up winning the league over there too, leaving behind even his great pal. Also, he actually won with his country too, by the way. Not too many people remember that. And as for the manager of this team, Pep Guardiola, yeah, sounds about right. Let's just pray he can handle the pressure. And that is that. Agree or disagree? Beats indifference. So what do you think of this team? Are there any starters and or honorable mentions whom I've left out? Let me know in the comments below. And as usual, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Till next time, you keep rolling.